Hello, we're at Camp Agape doing a training video for the new sound equipment that will be used at camp this year. I'm Jeff White and this is Coleman Erkins, and we are your sound technicians to set this board up and to show you how to operate it. So the first thing you're going to do is there's a power distribution, this Furman power distribution unit. To turn the system on, the first thing you will need to do is you will need to turn this on. The amps are actually on stage, and we're going to turn those on later, but we'll turn on this system first. So Coleman, if you would, show them where that is.
So it's the on-off power switch, the big red button.
Okay, and that will put power to the unit, which it is not on. You will now have to turn this on. You will see that the power button is blinking. So to turn that on, Coleman, all we have to do is press power, and there you go. Takes just a few minutes to power up.
Boot up 47%.
Yeah. Here's another thing. These lights may not be attached when you turn the board on. So what you'll need to do is just take one of these lamps here and you just put it in, and then you give it a little twist. It's a BNC connector down at the bottom, and there you go. Okay. All right, the board is almost powered up, and you'll see that the faders will then go up. This board has moving faders, and they're motorized faders. So as you go through the different mixes and the mains, you will see that things do change on the board. You don't ever want to hold on to the faders, do you, Coleman? You don't ever want to hold on.
Because if you press something and they move, they're going to move without you. So
yeah. So
and another thing too with these faders is if you're not careful, they will pop off pretty easily. So when you're moving them, make sure you got a good grip on them and don't pull up, just slide up and down.
And since they are motorized, if you go to change scenes or change from mixes, you want to lift your hand off the board so it doesn't impede the fader. All right. So Coleman, show us then where we go from here as we get ready to. We've turned the board on. Just go through and show them what the main mix is, and then the monitor mixes that we have.
Okay. So by default, when the board cuts on, it'll be on the main mix, where you'll have your faders on the left side, which are your instruments, and then we have some faders over here in the center where we have CD, iPod, and computer hooked up. But these faders will all be ready to move, and what the main mix is it's the instruments that'll be coming through the main speakers when you're listening out in the seating area or from the board.
So that would be the things on the poles and those subs down that they're sitting on top of, right?
Yes, so these faders control what's being heard in those speakers. And over here on the right, we have the master fader, the main volume. This needs to be set to 0. This is the overall volume of the entire system. And you want to have it at 0 so that everything else can be heard at proper volumes.
So with that being said, that would mean that if you pull away from 0, you're decreasing the sound. If you go above 0, you're increasing the sound above what you're expecting the volume to be, what you've set it at. So we've set it at 0. This isn't 0 down here, and you turn the board up. This is where you want to start, the 0, and then you can pull back if you need to. But that's where you would need to be on the mains. Okay, so show them the different channels that we have here for the mains.
So we have set up, we have 6 vocal mics that are just labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and on the stage, on each of the mics, which we can show later, they are labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 from left to right. 6 is by the piano. Next we have.
So the 6 is the piano vocal mic.
Yes, piano vocal.
Okay, all right.
Then we have piano, which is over on stage right. Or house right. And then we have bass, which is on stage, acoustic, And bass and acoustic are connected to direct boxes, which
Okay.
you see on stage.
Okay.
And then we have a mic on the kick drum, and then we have a mic picking up the snare and the toms of the drum set.
Okay.
Now, skipping over to the end over here, we put this off to the side so that it would be easy to see and not get confused with the other instruments. We have the wireless mic, and this would be used for your announcements or your pastor or anything that would need to be said that isn't involved with the music.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we have CD. There is a CD player hooked into the rack in case they play music from the CD. This is where you would turn up the volume.
Now that one's following it, so it is linked. So you don't want to push both of them. You push one of them up, and the other will follow it.
Yes,
correct?
The reason why they are linked is because you're receiving a stereo signal, so that you can hear both the left and the right sides of the music.
Okay. Good.
Same with the iPod. They're stereo linked. So all you have to do is slide one of them up, and that way you'll have stereo sound. And the computer is not stereo, it's just a single fader in case any videos or anything are played. You just bring that up, single fader.
Okay, so show them over here. Then you have an iPod connection.
And this is going to be for any music that you play from your iPod, or if you hook up a computer to it through iTunes or whatever. And this is hooked up to the channel over here that says iPod. And then we have this one that says computer. This is your computer line. And with the computer line, there is another knob so that your person operating your computer can control the volume without needing the person running sound to do it. So if they're wanting to fade out a video or fade in audio, they can just turn it down to fade the volume down, turn it up to bring it up. If there's any sort of buzz or noise for some reason, you can flip the ground switch, and that can possibly get rid of any buzz or hum that you're getting.
And that does work because these are great units, Coleman. These do cut out a lot of the buzz that computers will have, since you're using, for whatever reason, computers do that often. So that ground lift will come in handy for the most part. All right, now show them the monitor mixes.
Okay.
Because that's really the only three things they need to worry about, right? Is the main mix and then the two monitor mixes.
Yes, so we have the main mix, which I just showed you, and then over here where it says mix 1 and mix 2, underneath it says stage and band. Now on stage we have 2 separate mixes. There are 3 monitors on stage. One is on the main part of the stage, one is back towards where the band will be, and one is over by the keyboard.
Right.
Now, the monitor on the stage and the keyboard monitor are mix 1, and it is called stage. So the monitors on the stage and by the keyboard are controlled by mix 1.
Now watch what happens when you press that.
So that'll light up, and as you see, the color will change to yellow.
Yeah, I see. If you see yellow on your faders, that means that you're in your monitor mix, okay? All right, mix 1 will show you that.
And what this means is whatever you do here will not change what's coming through the main speakers. It'll change what is coming through the speaker on stage that is pointing towards the vocalists or whoever is needing to hear on stage.
Okay, great. All right, that's great.
And these are the same way you would operate the main mix. You just turn it down or up depending on if you need more here or there.
Great.
Next we have mix 2, which you would just select, and it pulls up mix 2. And then you can adjust for the band. This is the band mix, and there's one monitor on stage towards the back near the drums, and that monitor is the band mix monitor. So any adjustments that you make while you have band mix 2 selected will affect what comes through that monitor. Now, to get out of your mixes, to go back to mixing what's coming through the main speakers, you just press the button again.
All right, do that again, Coleman, and so that the audience can see the faders change.
So right now we're on the main mix, which is the main speakers, and when I press mix 1, it turns yellow, and we are on mix 1. Now to get out of mix 1, to go back to mixing for the stereo mix, the main mix, I press mix 1 again, and it returns back to normal.
And again, you don't want to have your hands anywhere touching this because it will impede the fader from doing the movement it's going to do so. After you've turned the board on, then you need to go over and turn the amps on. Isn't that correct, Coleman?
Yes, yes. So the amps are over here in this black box on the floor, and it's very simple. We have it labeled here, amps on the top, and we have what the amps include are the mains, which gives power to the main speakers, the monitors, which gives power to the monitors, and the sub, which gives power to the subs. And all you have to do to cut this stuff on is read where it says power, follow the arrow down to the red switch, and press on.
And so, Coleman, there really be no need for anyone to adjust any of the volumes on these amps at all. We have those set. There's really no need in adjusting those.
Okay, so up front on the area that we're calling stage, we have our stage monitor. And this would be the monitor that would be used for your vocalists, or if your pastor needed to hear something in the monitor. Over by the piano, we have another monitor that is labeled stage.
So those are feeding off the same mix one.
Yes, so whatever you do in mix one will happen in both of these monitors.
Okay, great. And then we have one other monitor.
This monitor is called band monitor, which is mix 2 on the board, and whatever adjustments you make in mix 2 will change what is heard in this monitor. This monitor is used for your drummer, your acoustic guitar, your bass, electric guitar, everybody in this back area that needs to hear what's happening.
Great. So they all can get a separate feed from what's going on over there.
Yes.
Okay, great. Then we have the drums and the bass. Of course, I think you wanted to show them that DI box where you plug the acoustic in.
So on the left side of the stage, we have a direct box labeled acoustic. So if you play acoustic guitar, that is where you want to plug in.
On the input.
On the input.
Yes.
Okay. And if there is any buzz or hum, do the same thing that you would do on the computer and flip the switch for the lift.
Okay.
To get rid of the buzz. On the right, we have the bass DI. This is where your bass player will plug in into the input of the direct box. And if there's any buzz or hum, it might go away if you flip the switch.
Okay. All right. Great. All right. Thank you, Coleman. And then of course, we have the vocal mics here.
And all of them are labeled. For example, this one is number 4. So it'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is down by the piano.
Okay. We are showing you the Soundcraft Expression 3 console. It's 32 channel board, and I think we're going to show you now how to hook up the iPod so you can play music, and then how to turn up the volume on that. So Coleman, show them what we have here.
Okay, so what we have is we have an iPod hooked up with the iPod cable plugged into the headphone jack. We have music playing. So the first thing you'll want to check is make sure that your master volume over here is turned up to 0 on the board. And then you'll come over to where it says iPod, and you'll just turn up the fader. Just grab one and bring it up until you have it as loud as you would like it.
Okay.
All right. And if you're playing music, or if you have audio and you want to turn it off, up here at the top, the green light says on. If you just press the green light, it turns it off. And that applies to every channel. So if you're listening to something and you don't want to hear it anymore, just cut it off, and it won't. And then if you want to hear it again, turn it off.
Okay. And one thing also, you see this over here where it says LR? That's left and right. That is your main mix. If you don't have that selected, you're not going to get any sound out of that channel.
Right.
To select a channel, you press the select button. When you press the select button, that is for that channel, and you will see if that left and right, if it's on, then you're in good shape.
And all these channels, the left and right, should already be on. But
Yeah.
if for some reason you're not getting any audio, double check and make sure that the left-right button is lit up.
Right. Good deal. Good deal.
Next, we'll quickly look over at some of these other channels. Now, the same thing applies with these. We don't have audio playing through them right now, but if your main vocalist or vocalist number 1 is up there singing, all you have to do in order to hear them is turn this fader up until you have the desired volume that you want. When they're not singing and no one is using that mic, you can turn the mic off by pressing this button right here, and when they're ready to sing again, press the on button. To select the channel, you press the SEL, which stands for select, and that pulls up any information that you need to view about this channel.
Which they really wouldn't, most of the time, they would not need to select that.
Right. Right.
Because it's going to be on whether you select it or not if this button is on and the fader's turned up.
The only reason you'll need to use the select is if you're running into any issues.
So we're going to turn up all these channels here just for right now, and we're going to turn up the acoustic. Then we're going to go to mix 1, press mix 1, and watch what these faders do. All right, so some of them have been turned down because they are not running through the mix. Go to mix 2. All right. All right, so go, Coleman, go back to the main mix if you wouldn't mind. All right, as you saw, he just pressed the mix button and it went back to main, and it's not lit up there, so that shows you that you're on the left-right mix. Show them how to get more gain for the acoustic guitar in case someone plugs an acoustic guitar in and you're not getting a high enough level.
Okay, so what you'll want to do is come over to the channel that says acoustic, follow it straight up until you get to this dial. Okay, by default this dial should control the gain. If it's not, if you look over here on the right, there are 3 buttons that control what the dial does. Make sure gain is selected. Okay, so go and press gain and go to the individual channel. So we're looking at acoustic. We'll go straight up to the knob. Okay, as you ask your acoustic guitar player to play, you will slowly turn up this knob until this meter below the knob reads -12 at the loudest point. So whenever your acoustic guitar player is playing how he's going to play live, you want it to occasionally reach that -12 point.
All right, here we are with one more lesson for you. This is on the wireless mic, the Shure SM58 capsule. Good sounding mic. Same capsule as what's on those mics up on stage, but this is a wireless unit. And with that, very simply, there's a couple of things we want you to know about this. One, it's on channel 16. That's where you turn it up and down. And then the second thing here is you turn the mic on. You can see right there where you turn it on, you get a green light. This does have a proprietary chargeable battery, which Coleman, if you wouldn't mind, show us about that.
So you just unscrew the bottom of the mic, and then you reach in, and let's see, it just pops right out.
Remember how you took it out too, because it's got the round part at the top.
And it looks like the part with the little rectangles on the top is the part that goes in first.
Yes.
With the round part on the top.
Right. So you put it in and snap it in just like that.
And then you just screw the bottom back on and it's ready to go.
All right. Now, the great thing about this is we have 2 batteries. One is charging currently. Guess where it's charging? Right in the base unit, right in the receiver. So Coleman, if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and pull that out. You push down on that little button, it pulls out. All right, do that one more time. We'll get it from above. And it goes in there. That's where everything charges. You press that button down, it pops out. Then you are ready to swap batteries. Okay, so it goes right in there and it snaps in, and you'll see that light, green light charging. And then when you turn that mic on, it shows the battery life on the actual transmitter. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Let's see.
Just tap the screen there.
There you go. There you go. Look at that. 2 hours and 2 minutes left on that battery. So why don't we go ahead and change that battery and see what the battery life says on the new one, because that one's been charging a while. So here he goes. He's taking that out. Okay, just like that. Okay, pulls that out, swaps them. All right, snaps right in there. And you'll see that means that red, that means that now it goes to red, it is charging. That's a battery that needs charging. All right, and this one, it goes right in, puts the round part at the top, snaps it right in there. Screws that back on, and don't screw that too tight, ladies and gentlemen. When you screw that back on, that part is not designed to go on real tight.
Just until it stops.
Just until it stops, it'll be fine. Okay. All right. Now, when you turn that mic on, all right, it is going to tell us 17 hours. Can you believe that? 17 hours on that battery? Once again, that's on channel 16. Your mains and your monitors are going to be on that. So hey, this thing's got a rechargeable battery. Keep that battery charged. When you see it getting down to an hour and a half, maybe time to change it. Wouldn't you think,
Yep,
Coleman?
I would say so.
Okay. All right, so we're going to show you now how to turn everything off. There is a way to turn it on, which we showed you already, but there's a way to turn it off, and it's important how you turn it off, because you don't want to get any transient noise or any popping or anything like that. So you go reverse order of how you turned everything on to turn it off. You turn your amps off first. Amps are on stage. And you just turn that power distribution switch where it says power, just turn that off. You turn your amps off first, then you will turn your board off. All right, so the board is on now. The way you do it is you press this down and then you see it blinking. All right, after you see it blinking, do that and it turns it off. Okay? All right, so I'm going to turn this back on one more time, and I'm going to show you again how it all works. It's powering up now, but we will you will first of all, you'll turn the amps off, and that one distribution channel will turn all the amps off on stage.
And the amps are up on the stage on the right. So if you go up the stairs and take a right, they're in a black box.
They're racked up. So remember, to turn it on, first thing you want to turn on, you turn your board on, then you turn your amps on. So turn it off. To turn it off, you do the exact opposite. First, you want to turn your amps off, and then you want to turn your board off. Okay? All right, so it's almost powered up there, and you'll notice all these faders will come back up now. That was the last thing how we had it set. So you don't lose everything. When you go to turn the board off, it'll remember what you had it, how you had it set. The way you do it is you press this down, and then you see it blinking. All right, after you see it blinking, do that and it turns it off. Well, that is pretty much all you need to know to operate. This is a very easy board to operate. I hope that'll help you. I'm sure it will. If you have any questions, we will be available. I'm going to be available to the directors if there be any questions, and I'll also be in one of the camps. So hope you enjoyed the lesson, and happy mixing.
Happy mixing.